Let's do this. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the beginning of another reading vlog. Okay. So I'm going to attempt to, I always think it's upside down. It looks upside down in the viewfinder. Anyway, I'm gonna attempt to read House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. Danielewski. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, can I just say, the amount of opinions that I've gathered of this book is decent. I just wanted to hear what people thought. I didn't go onto Goodreads yet, because Goodreads is basically a pressure cooker of like very opinionated people, which I get. That's what everyone is there for recommendations and reviews of books. But I wanted to go to people that I knew personally, or at least interacted on social media with, and just gathered what they thought about this book. And it is very mixed. Most people have said that it's a lot of work for not a lot of reward. A lot of other people have said that they're still working on it. It's taking forever and that there's so much work, but they think it's good and worth the effort. And then I haven't met these people yet or talked to them yet, but I don't know anyone personally that has told me that this blew it out of the water and that was amazing. I did have one friend, my best friend Irina, tell me that it's good, but she said it strangely, like it's not as good or as bad as any other horror novel she read. And I was like, what does that mean? And she reads horror, but I would say that she said this about herself, that she's not a typical horror reader. So I don't know what to make of any of those opinions. So we're just gonna try this. I am worried because I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. I am not someone who wants to work when I'm reading. I like the brain activity that I get from my reading, but I read for entertainment. I was a history major in college and I know what it's like to read for work, and I don't want to be doing that. So here are the parameters of this vlog. I am not going to force myself to make it through this book. I'm going to give it a solid try. I'm gonna say if I feel any type of way that's negative within like the first 100, 150 pages, we might just like put it down or take a break. I'm also going to mix in another book that is faster paced and less work. And I actually just got this book, Razorblade Tears, from my Nightworms monthly horror book subscription box. And this is very highly rated, and it is also supposed to be fast paced and a crime thriller. It's basically a revenge sort of thriller book. Yeah, this book is really interesting. Well, first, okay, I'll come back to that. Back to House of Leaves. So this is supposed to be about a family that lives in a house that is inexplicably larger on the inside than it is the outside. So that sounds really interesting. I'm really into that. I've always loved books and like movies and stuff about houses. So yeah, we'll get into it. We'll give it the good college try, won't we? So yeah, we'll see. Sorry about the focus. The camera gets distracted by all my prints and my books and my moving. I've always been told that I move a lot and I should just chill, but you know, that's not my forte. Anyway, the backup book, so that this vlog is still entertaining and not an absolute like just me grinding it out, is going to be Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. And so what this is basically about is that two men who have nothing in common except that they have both been incarcerated and that their sons are married to each other. Their sons get brutally murdered, and they basically team up to get revenge for their sons. It is set in the South. It's supposed to be brutal, and it's supposed to be fast-paced, and it's supposed to be this awesome crime thriller. And I am very excited. I don't read a lot of thrillers. I'm trying to get into thrillers. If this was a movie, I would absolutely watch it. So I'm gonna try and like I am a creature of habit. I like what I like and I do explore, but when it comes to books, I tend to really just pick up, you know, my regulars, my horror, my fantasy, and then my like touchy-feely contemporary when I'm not feeling either one of those genres. So I'm really interested to get into this and see what it's gonna be like, if it's gonna open some new horizons for me, because it sounds amazing, and it sounds kind of heartbreaking, and it sounds like it's gonna be a bloody, violent, just like a symphony, and I'm here for that. I am here for it. Little known fact, I guess it's not known to anyone that isn't me or my boyfriend, but I love some violent like crime stuff. Mostly I love mob movies, like I love the Godfather movies. We're finishing up the Sopranos series on HBO. I've seen Boardwalk Empire so many times on HBO. I love anything to do with the mafia. Now I'm rambling. All I'm saying is I like violent shit. That's it. That's all. That's it. Okay, so we are going to get into these books. I'm going to start this first, and I'm probably going to start this book. What is it called again? Razorblade Tears. I'm going to start that. I'm going to stagger it. I'm going to give this my undivided attention for a little bit first, and then we will start that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, all right, let's do this. Good morning, party people. It is Sunday. I am in my car, obviously, because I am heading to a market for my tea shop. I'm setting up my booth. My family's gonna be there to help. They love to help. It's so sweet. My mother and my sister actually get kind of upset if I don't tell them that I have a market. They wanna be there, and it's a really good time to like spend time with my family. Anyway, I wanted to hop on really quickly before I got on the road to my market. I'm on like page 26 of House of Leaves. I don't know how I feel just yet. I'm gonna preface that. I think it's a mixture of all the weird opinions I've been getting from people. I really should like read books before I ask people's opinion of it, because it's starting to like shape how I feel, I think. But aside from the like sort of mixed feelings that everyone seems to have about this book, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that the book really is kind of an effort to read. I've never done well with like multi-perspective books. I don't know. When I was a kid, I read Garth Nix's Sabriel. And was it Sabriel or Lyriel? One of them, one of the Abhorsen books. I love them to death, and I've read them multiple times since the first time I read it. And I remember reading Sabriel, or one of them, and it switched perspectives from the main character to another main character. And I wasn't familiar with that at the time because I was still a pretty new reader, especially to chapter books. And I just skipped over them entirely, those sections of the other like main character, because I wanted to get back to the female main character because she was freaking cool. And anyway, I still have trouble with multi-perspective sort of timelines and plots. I don't know why. It sometimes takes me out of the story. It also makes it a little more effort to read because I have to reorient myself. I have to get reconnected with someone else in the book, and that's fine. I've grown up a little and I've gotten over that, but that is definitely something that's already happening in House of Leaves, and it's not necessarily the conventional way of shifting perspectives. Normally you'd have a chapter here that is dedicated to the main character, then you have another chapter that is dedicated to like the other main character, and here there are a lot of footnotes, and the footnotes are like half of like how the perspective shifts. Like it'll be the main storyline, and then it'll notate that you have to go read the footnote, and then the footnote is like 3 pages long or whatever the fuck. Sorry. I already don't really like footnotes, so this is proving to be a little difficult. I will say it is very interesting so far. It's sort of set in the way it reads like it's taking you through like a documentary film, and it's inching towards like what exactly is spooky about the house that the main family is in. I'm intrigued. I'm not necessarily fully invested yet. Nothing has happened that I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to get back and read it. So there's that. Let me just have more of my coffee. So I'm curious. I really didn't get to. I also am last night, for some reason, I felt like I could not sit down and read. I had to do like 15 million things. I was also preparing for the market. That's why my back area of my car is just filled with shit. So I was like up every 5 minutes, and then the way the book was structured, it was not helping my concentration. So I'm gonna try today, but I have a lot today that's happening. The market lasts until 3 and it's 9 o'clock or 8:30 right now. And then, you know, I have to break down, so I really won't get home till probably 5. And I have some videos to edit, but hopefully I'll be able to read like a page or two here and update you later. This might be a more prolonged vlog, I'm sorry. And we'll find out if I can make it. Anyway, I just wanted to update you because I don't know what the hell is happening in my life right now, especially with this book. All right, I will check in later.
Every moment tonight, they led me to you. Every single time you look at me, I lose it too. Why don't you come sit next to me? Let things happen naturally, like it used to be. I don't wanna go and waste another day, mess it up again, lost in my way. I'll be the one to have the highest price to pay. If I make it home tonight, may I hold you one last time? Let me hold you one last time. What if it's too late for...
Hi friends, it is Monday, and let me just tell you, I have been the worst booktuber in like the last 12 hours. I have not gotten really much of any reading done, and it's been kind of busy at work this morning. So the few pages I've read have been sort of sporadic between last night after my market and then this morning with just work and life and trying to fit some reading in between. Regardless, I did want to update you of where I am currently in the book House of Leaves. Not very far, if I'm being real freaking honest. Let's see. Okay, page 30. We're doing so well. Okay, I think I'm just a little bit stupid is what really is happening. Sorry if I'm a little glistening, little moist. It's hot in North Carolina. But page 30, really by now, even with the limited amount of time that I've had to set aside to read, I would have expected myself a little further along. Now the pages are larger. This is a large book. Here is my head for reference. Here is the book. There are large pages. Oh my God, I have pastry stuck in my throat. Excuse me. No wonder I'm sweating. I'm drinking hot tea on a hot day. What is wrong with me? But here's the thing. It's interesting. That's the thing. It's interesting so far, but there is like, oh my God, my cat is trying to get into this box. Let me show you. What are you doing? Is that your box? You know, I'm trying to film. You're really loud right now. I'm gonna kill you. Just kidding, I love you. Okay, apparently attention span is in short supply today, but he seems to be settling down into his box. Anyway, the biggest thing that's happening right now with this book that I'm struggling with is that the parts that are talking about the house, really freaking cool. They're getting to the point where they've just discovered that the inside of the house is indeed, just by incremental measurements, it is larger on the inside than it is on the outside. So that's freaking cool. Sidebar, one of my favorite horror movies is, gosh, what's it called? Oh, I remember the movie. It is Grave Encounters, where they stay in like a haunted asylum for the night, and in the inside things just keep getting weirder. The inside is like more twisty and turny, and things are completely different on the inside than they are on the outside. One of my favorite movies, and it kind of reminds me of this, where like the people that are participating in this whole event are sort of being taken through a loop. They're very confused as to what is happening, and like they're battling as to whether this is actually real right now. Is the inside of this house actually larger than the outside? And the main character goes to painstaking lengths to make sure that he's just not imagining things. So that part is interesting. The parts where it's like with footnotes that last pages upon pages, and is a completely different storyline that hasn't fully connected yet. Yeah, it's very, I don't know. It just sort of takes me out of the story, honestly. Every time I have to read ridiculous amounts of footnotes that last for pages and pages, I kind of forget what's happening with the main storyline, and I'm really disinterested in the secondary storyline that's happening with this. I think he's a drug addict or something. He alludes to it, and I don't know. I just don't do well with multi-perspective things, especially like this, where it's like the prose is sort of shifting all over. I'm gonna give it a little more time, but I do think I'm gonna get through a couple pages tonight and perhaps start that other book later. This is gonna be a more prolonged sort of vlog, probably throughout the week, because this is gonna take me a second. But I am going to sort of filter in and out between different books, I think, just to help me through it and to see if I really want to spend my time reading this book, because I'm now at the level where if I don't enjoy something, I'm not gonna spend my precious time on it, you know, and I may come back to it, but yeah, who knows. Anyway, I'm gonna still continue to give it a try, and I'll update you later. Okie dokie, it is almost 9:30, so it's nearing this grandma's bedtime, but God. Okay, I am on page, I don't know, 39, 40, so I got exactly like, what, 13 pages. I was on 26, so I don't know what the math is. Anyway, I didn't get very far when something good started to happen. Like suspense was building. It had like a solid 3 pages of one continuous plot happening, and of course it was too good to be true, because they interrupted it with another like weird insert of I don't know. They tend to, the author puts in weird paragraphs of like philosophy and I don't know, paragraphs about art. I don't know, but I hate it. I hate it. I feel like I'm reading a book from my college years, and I'm just not about that life anymore. Nope. So we're putting this down. I don't know if I'm putting this down forever, but I'm putting this down for right now because it is later at night. I'm tired and I no longer want to try this hard. So what I'm going to do, and I had mentioned this at the beginning, I'm gonna start Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby, because this sounds fun. This sounds easy to read, and life is too frickin' short to try this hard with House of Leaves. Maybe we will return to it. I will let you know, but let's do this. Hello, party people. It is Tuesday, and I just wanted to circle back after I have calmed down and digested a little bit of House of Leaves. Last night I came at you hot, but also very tired for the day, and I just ranted for a hot minute about this. Here's where I am mentally with this book. I can't do it. It's actually too much of an effort to read this book. That's not to say that I will not pick it up again before the book club, but I'm telling you right now that this is going to be a DNF. life is too dang short, y'all. Life is too short to have to make yourself get through a book. And that's where I'm at right now. What happens is that there's the main plot line about the house and the family that is like experiencing the house, but the passages that describe that main plot line are few and far between. Everything else that happens in between when the book is describing the main plot line with the family is like random bits of philosophy, ancient texts, like they're talking about Latin, and I would normally enjoy that because I studied Latin in college, but no, not as a random aside in a story. It's just too much effort, and there are so many footnotes. I hate footnotes. I hate it so much. So we, at page 40, we're putting this down. What I did end up picking up last night was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. And can I tell you, this is a refreshing, like, chef's kiss of a book so far. I'm not very far. I am like 25 pages in, but what I can say is that this is readable. This is very readable. It's going by very quickly, and I love the setting. I love the vibe. I love the tone of the book. Things are already getting kind of intense. We're still exploring the fact that, so the two main characters are these two older men whose sons were married to each other, and they were killed out of what seems like a hate crime. They're in Virginia, so they're in the South. And one of them was black. So they're ex-cons, the dads, and they haven't talked about it yet, but they're basically supposed to get together and like hatch this like revenge plot because the police aren't doing anything for their sons. So on that, it sounds amazing, but also it's moving very quickly. I really like the language. I live in the South. I live in North Carolina, and I just love having things set in the South. There's a lot of problematic history in the South and culture at times, but I really like it here, and I really like when things are set in the South. I have a very intense fascination with it, and this is really hitting all the spots right now. So I'm going to continue reading this. I will check in with you later because it's a work day, but I just wanted to sort of recap when I was in a more collected and calm mood and not completely frustrated by House of Leaves. How about I talk with the people at my coffee shop, because I frequent my local coffee shop, and one of the people who works at the coffee shop, he shops at the same local bookstore that I do, and I had posted about this on my Instagram, and he was like, oh, I didn't realize it was that book you were reading. If I had known, I would have told you that everyone I knew who read this thought it was weird. And I was like, well, yeah, but I like weird, at least is how I would have reasoned it to myself. And I like all sorts of books, so I thought it was going to be okay. Anyway, I'm ranting now. Anyway, the whole moral of the story is that not all reviews should be trusted, but when it's an overwhelming amount of reviews that sort of say the same things, maybe sometimes listen to them. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna read more of Razorblade Tears and try to forget House of Leaves, and then I will come back to you. All right, so I didn't come here to update you about the book because I've only read like 3 or 4 pages since I last talked to you. I'm working. Today is a work day, so I've really just been like glancing at the book every now and then. But I did want to sort of take you along. I mentioned before that I have a little online tea shop, and I got an order a couple days ago. I'm finally packing it, and I wanted to show you what it looks like to pack an order. This is an order from a very dear friend of mine and her family, so I'm just was so tickled when I saw the order come through, because it was they included such a sweet note, and they ordered a decent amount, so I'm going to include a little gift too, because they're beautiful and wonderful people, and they're very good customers too. They always order tea from me, and I just feel very lucky to know them. So I am going to show you what it's like to pack an order with me.
I'm looking in your eyes, you're looking past mine, but I'm just trying to break the cycle. Why are you staring at the door like I'm in the way? If you're leaving, that's fine, but don't forget your pride, 'cause I'm just trying to break this cycle. Are you? Are you? Are you? If you wanna go, I'll stay away. If you wanna go, I'll stay away. If you wanna go, I'll stay away.
Oh God. Okay, what we're doing in the car right now, other than sweating my tits off, is going to the bookstore. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Just got finished with work, had to do a bit of math for this one report, and I am flustered over it. Also, oh my God, I need gas. Okay, so here's the deal. I just ordered some horror movie posters, so I cannot spend a lot of money at the bookstore. I will buy one book, maybe two, and then we are out. My priority is a Ruth Ware book, and if I can find it, a Darcy Coates book. I don't have any Darcy Coates, and I've heard very good things, lots of fun things. She is also a horror novelist, I believe. Oh, I wanted to check in because okay, so I haven't read, ooh, it's foggy. Whew. I haven't read a whole lot. This is the theme of this vlog. I haven't read a whole lot. But what I have read, I wanted to discuss. I have talked a lot about my wallowing self-pity, about the minor reading slumpy mentality I have right now. But what I haven't actually talked about in this book, Razor Blade Tears, it's really palpable, the grief of the fathers and the guilt that they have over their sons that died over this like hate crime, or what seems like a hate crime because they're gay. Their guilt and grief is just so raw and real in the book, and I haven't talked about that. I can't imagine what it's like to lose your child as it is. Like, that's already a big freaking deal. But to know that you spent a lot of time sort of, what's the word? Disapproving of their lifestyle, their sexuality, thinking that they're some form of an abomination or whatever it is. I don't know. All I understand from the book is that the fathers that are the main characters and their sons had sort of a tempestuous relationship because they were gay. And there are lots of flashbacks as to conversations that the sons and the fathers had between each other, and how they didn't see eye to eye in any sort of way when it came to the son's sexuality. And now that the sons are dead and brutally murdered, mind you, it's just, I can't imagine the overwhelming grief. And this isn't a moment where like the moral of the story is to accept your children. I mean, obviously it is, but I think the whole point of this is that people are ultimately human, and when they're faced with something new and something completely jarring, and it doesn't excuse their you know, their hateful words or their hurtful words, but people make mistakes, and sometimes it's often too late to learn from them. And you know, the overwhelming theme is compassion, of course, but yeah, I just had to bring that to the fore because I've been talking about literally everything else except that, and that is a big theme in this book. Anyway, let's go to the bookstore.
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin.
All right, my loves, I am back from the bookstore. Talk about I realized that when I basically accosted you in my car with all my words and my energy, that maybe I need to take a breath. Sometimes I talk to my boyfriend about he notices that like I just talk really fast. Part of it is like my natural like energy. Another part of it is the level of caffeine I consume. And then the third part of it is that I am like mildly anxious and nervous sometimes to talk to the camera. Like I feel like I can't remember everything that I want to say, or I'm very conscious about how I ramble sometimes. Look, I'm just excited to spend time with y'all is what's really happening. So let's get into this little mini haul of books that I got from the bookstore. So they were having a paperback sale. So if you bought 3 or more paperbacks, it was 25% off of your total purchase. So I took the chance to grab some paperbacks that I had been meaning to grab, and I ordered another book. They didn't let me pay for it until it came in. It was a Darcy Coates book, and it's called The Caro Haunt. I talked about this earlier when I was in the car, but it seems Darcy Coates is a very popular horror author. I see her work, like her books, everywhere all over Bookstagram, and I have yet to read anything of hers, and she seems to do a lot of haunted house stuff. I don't know, I feel like that might be completely wrong, but I get the feeling that she enjoys haunted houses and I enjoy haunted houses. So if you have haunted house book recommendations, please put it in the comments below, because I love a good house haunting. Anyway, let's talk about the books that I got. So you saw from the footage that I grabbed The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, very shiny. So I have heard all sorts of wonderful and then not so wonderful things about this book. Some people, I feel like you either really love Ruth Ware or you don't. I guess there are some people in the middle, but this book in particular, people either love it or they don't. So basically it's about a nanny that, well, let's look it up, because here's the fun thing about Ruth Ware that I've noticed. Every time I pick up one of her books, there is no synopsis on the back. It's just freaking reviews. Like, can I get a synopsis, please? Let me get the synopsis real fast. Okay. Finally got the synopsis of The Turn of the Key of Ruth Ware by Ruth Ware. Talking words. Is it a thing with me? I don't think so. Okay, when she stumbles across the ad, she's looking for something else completely. But it seems like too good an opportunity to miss. A live-in nannying post with a staggeringly generous salary. And when Rowan Kane arrives at Heathbrae House, she is smitten by the luxurious smart home fitted out with all modern conveniences by the beautiful Scottish Highlands and by this picture-perfect family. What she doesn't know is that she's stepping into a nightmare, one that will end with a child dead and herself waiting in prison for a trial for murder. Writing to her lawyer from prison, she struggles to explain the unraveling events that led to her incarceration. It wasn't just the constant surveillance from the cameras installed around the house or the malfunctioning technology that woke the household with booming music or turned the lights off at the worst possible time. It wasn't just the girls who turned out to be a far cry from the immaculately behaved model children she met at her interview. It wasn't even the way she was left alone for weeks at a time with no adults around apart from the enigmatic handyman Jack Grant. It was everything. Okay, I'm not gonna read anymore because you basically get the idea. She's waiting in prison and she's, yeah, trial. Things are happening, words, caffeine. Anyway, it sounds great. And I love the setting of it being in like a beautiful house in the Scottish Highlands. So I'm very excited about that. The next book that I got is one that I have been wanting to get for a while. And it is Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay. I read one of Paul Tremblay's books. Gosh, what is it called? Oh, it's called A Head Full of Ghosts, and it's basically about this young girl who's going through an exorcism or is possessed, that we know. she may not be. That's the kind of book it was. I thought it was excellent. I thought the ending was chilling. It was not your normal horror, I would say. I don't know how to explain that without ruining things. It was very smoke and mirrors. Like, you really didn't understand what was happening till the very end. And I have a feeling his other books will probably be like that. So this one is: in a matter of weeks, Massachusetts has been overrun by an insidious virus that is spread by saliva. Those infected, both animals and humans, quickly lose their minds and are driven to bite and infect as many others as they can before they die or are killed. Emergency protocols are faltering, rations are being distributed, and the Commonwealth is under quarantine and curfew to try and limit the spread of the new virus. Hospitals are inundated with the sick and hysteria has taken hold. Dr. Romola Sherman receives a frantic phone call from Natalie, her best friend from college, who is due to give birth in a matter of days. Natalie's husband has been killed, viciously attacked by an infected neighbor, and in a failed attempt to save him, Nats, too, was bitten. Her only chance of survival is to get to the hospital as quickly as possible to receive a rabies vaccine and to deliver her child. The clock is ticking for Nats and the baby. The fight to save their lives becomes a desperate odyssey as these friends make their way through a hostile landscape filled with unexpected dangers beyond their worst nightmares. But even if Nats gets the vaccine, will it be too late? Sounds cool. Sounds very zombie-like. And I feel very iffy about zombies in general, but I trust Paul Tremblay. He took me through A Head Full of Ghosts. I feel like he will take me through the whole zombie thing, because it just, I know, I'm not a zombie fan. Sue me. I don't know. I think it's just the same plot recycled over and over again, and I don't like it. Okay. Sunrise by the Sea by Jenny Colgan is my last book that I grabbed. Now, Jenny Colgan is a departure from my normal genres. I normally read fantasy or horror, and now I'm getting into thrillers. Jenny Colgan is usually there's a bit of romance. It's contemporary fiction, and a lot of it is very atmospheric, very cozy. It's a lot of like slice of life stuff where like just normal things are happening. There is a plot. There is like a really good story generally, but it is very light, atmospheric reading, and I love that sort of thing in between my main genres that I read, because history, horror and fantasy are kind of hard hitters. They require like all of your brain function and energy, really. And books like the ones Jenny Colgan writes, they're pure pleasure, honestly. Oh, my dog needs to be let in. I don't know how long she was sitting there, but I was just talking to you, so she's fine. She loves outside. She really does, though. Okay. So this is Marissa Rosso can't understand why everyone else is getting on with their lives as she still struggles to get over the death of her beloved grandfather back home in Italy. Everyone loses grandparents, right? Why is she taking it so badly? Retreating further and further from normal life, she moves to the end of the earth, the remote tidal island of Mount Paulbarn, at the foot of Cornwall, which is in England, hoping for peace and solitude while carrying on her job as a registrar, dealing with births, weddings, and deaths, even as she feels life is passing her by. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the solitude she craves proves elusive. Between her noisy Russian piano teaching neighbor, the bustle and community spirit of the tiny village struggling back to life after the quarantine, and the pressing need to help save the local bakery, can Marissa find joy again? Yeah, It just sounds so cozy. Because I've always wanted to go to Cornwall. There's something about like its remoteness, it's like punishingly cold winters, so I've heard, but also just like the fact that it's by the sea. The beaches in North Carolina and like the southern US and like tropical beaches, I imagine are very different from what it's like in English beaches. Like I'm sure there's sand, but I'm sure it's infinitely colder and there are more cliffs. And I've always just wanted to go to Cornwall. I've always just wanted to like hole up in an isolated like tiny little village in England and just see what it's like to live there for a little bit. And Jenny Colgan often delivers those vibes. One of my favorite books or book series is like The Little Bookshop on the Corner. I think there are 3 books by her and they're all Little Bookshop on the Corner series, and they're just about a bookshop on the corner. One of them has a traveling van of a bookshop and it is fantastic. I read it last year and the vibes. Yeah, so I'm excited to get into this once I get through my enormous TBR. I don't know, do I have even a TBR? I don't think so. Anyway, I'm gonna go read now because we have Razor Blade Tears to get back to. Yeah. Bye. It is Monday, and I'm sorry that I look like the living dead. We had a bit of a scare last night. My poor sweet doggy Roscoe. I'll hover a picture somewhere. He came in from the backyard. He's quite the adventurer. He loves being outside. He came in from the backyard, silent and shivering and limping. Turns out he got bit by a copperhead, so that's a fun time. Love that for us. In all seriousness, last night was a bit of a long one. We were at the vet until close to probably over midnight. Sorry, my cat is being a cat. And so yeah, he's long story short, he is fine, but we're all a bit tired this morning. So I had to make some coffee, made my pumpkin spice coffee. I've never used this mug before and I've had it so long. It's the nicest mug, oh my God. I love a good mug. Do you love mugs? Because I can't resist a good mug. Just banged my teeth. I wanted to wrap up this vlog because it's been a long one already and I know it's been sort of meandering just because we started with House of Leaves and we didn't end with House of Leaves because fuck House of Leaves. I know there are people out there who really like it and it probably is good if you want to put in that kind of effort, but I'm just past the point in my life where I'm reading things that require work. So yeah, if you hear scratching noises, it's because my cat is my cat. So I did finish Razor Blade Tears. It took me a little longer than I expected, but I was just sort of in like a reading slumpy mindset because I didn't like House of Leaves so much that it sort of made me lose the taste for reading just temporarily. I'm back on it. I'm ready to read more. Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. My star rating, 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, it was a great time. I only really docked it a single star just because very nitpicky reason for docking it a single star. One, it's not my normal genre, so there were moments where I was like, when is the scary part happening? Even though I know it's like a crime thriller. So it just took me a little bit to get more in the mindset of like a crime thriller as opposed to my normal horror or fantasy. That doesn't really take away from it. There were moments that I felt like the writer was sometimes just using really cool words to use really cool words. Super nitpicky, really doesn't detract from the experience. Honestly, it happened like 2 or 3 times, but I was like, huh, interesting. Overall, it was a great book. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy because this came in my Nightworms book box, and it's just doing what Nightworms, you know, why I signed up for Nightworms in the first place is to get myself introduced to books that I would have never picked up before, and this is one of them. And I 100% will be picking up another S.A. Cosby book. He has another book called Blacktop Wasteland, and I am definitely getting it because this was such a good time. It was also really heartbreaking at points. Like I said in the beginning, this is about two fathers, one black father, one white father, and they both of their sons died tragically. They were sort of gunned down, and they were gay men that were married to each other. So there was an element of like hate crime to it. Not even an element, like that's a big part of this story. It's not the like main part of it, but it's a big part of it. And a lot of the story is just the fathers, you know, they're the ones left from the aftermath. They're the ones that have to live with the guilt of how they treated their sons and how they didn't accept their sons in their sexuality. And they're coming to terms with the fact that blood is thicker than water, and that no matter who your children love, you still love them, even if you are, you know, convinced that you could never be okay with someone's sexuality, whatever that is. When it's your child or when it's someone that's close to you, you realize that they mean more than what you have been taught and what you have grown up with all your life. It was really interesting because, you know, this is set in Virginia in the South, and so it's a black man and a white man, and they have very different backgrounds. Even though they're both people who've been to prison and they both share a granddaughter, and their sons were married to each other, they have very different backgrounds. They have very different upbringings, and they had to overcome a lot of that when they were working together to seek revenge for their sons. I just thought it was really, really powerful in, you know, demonstrating what it means to overcome sort of like the programming that you were coded with, so to speak. You know, we all grow up in a certain environment, and we're all taught certain thoughts by our parents, by our family, by our friends, you know, and it's hard to escape those. Sometimes you have to be shown sometimes what it's like to step into other people's shoes, and I think that this book does it really powerfully, really succinctly, and I think it's worth reading for the representation and the lessons and, you know, the high octane you know, violence that's in here. Truly, I thought it was a great book, and I'm really thankful to Nightworms for putting it in our boxes for that month. Yeah, I don't know, maybe this is a 5-star. Maybe I should just rate it a 5-star because I really loved it. Why am I so mean? I'm so nitpicky sometimes, but yeah, I would recommend this to everyone. I'm changing my rating now that we're talking about it. It's a 5-star book, and you should really pick it up. You would really like it. And if it's not your normal genre, it's not mine either. You should still read it. It's still very well done, very well written, and it's poignant. It's heartbreaking because at the end of the day, no matter how much revenge these men, you know, exact on behalf of their sons, their dead sons, they can't bring them back. So ultimately they have to live onward with their choices and how they, you know, deal with everything after their deaths. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's sad, it's intense, it's funny, it's really funny, and I really liked it. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this vlog. I enjoyed the ups and downs of it myself. I will have a more put together vlog next time, but this is a day in my life, you know, just switching between books. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this reading adventure with me. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It really helps my channel. And hit that notification bell so you always know when I've got good things coming to you. Bye, y'all.